What if the limits you've been living with aren't real? What if the fear holding you back was just a memorized emotion, on repeat, fooling your body into believing you're powerless? Today, we're going to break that illusion, because the truth is you are far more powerful than you've ever been told. This message is for the person who has felt stuck, unseen, and underestimated. By the end of this journey, you'll not only feel the shift, but you'll know how to create it. Most people wake up each morning and immediately begin to relive the past. They wake up feeling the same way they did yesterday. They think about the same problems, interact with the same people in the same way, and go through their day with the same patterns of behavior and emotion that have become automatic. The moment the alarm clock rings, their first thoughts are of stress, deadlines, limitations, and obligations. This isn't a conscious choice. This is a conditioned program running in the background, shaping not just their mindset, but their entire life. You see, your brain is a record of the past. Every experience you've ever had, every emotional reaction, every decision, every memory, it's all stored like a blueprint. When you're not aware of your thoughts, you default to this blueprint. The neural networks of your brain begin to fire in the exact same patterns. And here's what's even more important. Neurons that fire together, wire together. So each time you revisit a thought like, I'm not good enough, or nothing ever works out for me, you're reinforcing a neural highway that becomes more automatic with time. Now pair that with the body. The body doesn't know the difference between an actual event and the emotion you feel from thinking about it. So if you wake up and recall a painful memory, your body immediately begins producing the same chemicals, cortisol, adrenaline, that it would produce if the experience was happening again. The brain thinks, the body feels. The body feels, the brain thinks. And you become caught in a loop of thinking and feeling and thinking, creating a state of being that is memorized by both the brain and the body. This is what we call a habit of being. The tragedy is that most people think this is their identity, but it's not who they are. It's just who they've become unconsciously. The emotion of fear, the mindset of scarcity, the feeling of not being enough. None of these are inherent. They were learned, repeated, practiced until they became so familiar that now, even in moments of stillness or silence, your body craves them. You can become addicted to your suffering without even knowing it. Not because you want to suffer, but because your body has grown used to that emotional signature. And here's the deeper truth. Your unconscious thoughts are the architects of your life. The same thoughts lead to the same choices. The same choices lead to the same behaviors. The same behaviors produce the same experiences. And those experiences reinforce the same emotions. And so your personality, your personal reality becomes a loop, a closed system, a predictable pattern that ensures tomorrow looks very much like today. This is why change feels so hard, because it's not just about deciding to think positive or act differently. You have to break the habit of being your old self, and that requires you to become conscious of your unconscious, to observe your inner world with clarity and curiosity, not judgment. You must become the witness, because you cannot change what you are not aware of. This is not a surface-level transformation. This is a rewiring at the level of identity. When you begin to catch yourself in the act, when you notice the thought before it takes hold, when you feel the familiar emotion rising and you pause instead of reacting, you interrupt the program. You create space. And in that space, you gain choice. That's where power lies, not in controlling the world around you, but in mastering the world within you. The mind thinks in language. The body speaks in sensation. When you tune into both, you step into the role of creator instead of reactor. And from this place, you begin to see clearly that your external life is just a reflection of your internal programming. Your job is to become aware of the code, to see the thought loops that no longer serve you, to feel the emotions that have kept you in survival mode, to understand that your brain is malleable, your body is trainable, and your identity is flexible. The same way you learn to become anxious, frustrated, or small, you can learn to become calm, confident, and expanded. But it starts with awareness. The minute you realize that 95% of who you are by the age of 35 is just a set of memorized behaviors, thoughts, and feelings, that's the minute you reclaim authorship over your life. This level of awareness is not about guilt or shame. It's about waking up. It's about seeing that your personal reality is being constructed day by day by unconscious patterns that you have the power to observe, challenge, and rewrite. Emotion is not just something you feel, it is something you broadcast. Every emotion you experience emits a specific frequency, a measurable vibration that affects both your inner world and the energy you project into the environment around you. When you feel stuck, unmotivated, anxious, or unworthy, it's not just happening in your mind, it's stored in your body. Your body becomes the archive of every past emotional state you've repeated over and over again. Eventually, that emotion becomes a personality trait, a part of your identity, a familiar place to live. Let's take survival emotions: fear, guilt, anger, resentment, shame. These emotions are powerful, not because they elevate you, but because they trap your attention in the material world. They narrow your focus to the physical body, to time, to control. They make you reactive, impulsive, and dependent on the external to shift your internal state. You wait for something to change in your circumstances so you can finally feel free or happy or loved. But if your emotions are always dependent on the outside world, you give away your power. You become a slave to what's happening around you instead of becoming the creator of what happens from within you. The problem is that most people don't even realize they're addicted to these emotions. The body over time becomes so familiar with stress, worry, and survival that it craves them. Just like someone can crave sugar or caffeine, you can crave the chemical cocktail of anxiety or self-pity. It becomes part of your emotional home. And without even knowing it, you begin to seek out people, situations, and memories that reinforce that state. Not because it's good for you, but because it's familiar. To truly step into your power, you must teach your body how to feel something different before the external world gives you a reason to. This is the secret. You must become greater than your environment, greater than your past, greater than the emotions that have defined you. You must rehearse elevated emotions, gratitude, joy, love, freedom, until they are no longer reactions, but your new baseline. Gratitude is one of the most transformative emotions because it tells the body that the event you desire has already happened. You begin to emotionally condition your body to the future instead of anchoring it in the past. You shift from thinking of the future to feeling from the future. And when your body believes it, it starts to align with that possibility. You're not just imagining a new life, you're embodying it. This is the bridge between thinking and becoming. Most people try to change by effort, by force, by discipline alone. But without changing the emotional signature that's stored in the body, the change won't stick. You'll fall back into old patterns because your body is still addicted to the old emotion. You're still broadcasting the same signal into the field, and the quantum field doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you're being. Being means coherence. It means your thoughts and feelings are aligned. It means that what you think in your mind and what you feel in your heart are in agreement. When you think abundance but feel lack, you're in incoherence. When you affirm confidence but feel insecurity, you're in resistance. But when you begin to feel the elevated emotion deeply, truly, authentically, you change your electromagnetic signature. You become a new signal, and that signal has power. This is not just about emotion for the sake of feeling good. This is about becoming a match to your vision. When you learn to self-regulate, when you can close your eyes, drop into your heart, and feel gratitude as if your future has already arrived, you become the architect of your reality. You're no longer waiting for life to deliver something before you feel better. You're drawing life to you by becoming the frequency of what you desire. The body will resist at first. It will want to return to its familiar feelings. It will whisper stories of why it's not possible, why it's too hard, why nothing changes. That's the program talking. That's the old identity clinging to survival. But if you can sit with that discomfort and not react, if you can stay present and breathe into the space between who you've been and who you're becoming, you begin to rewire your nervous system. Each time you choose a new emotion, you strengthen a new pathway. Each time you feel gratitude for a future you haven't yet seen, you install a new chemical memory. And the more you practice, the easier it becomes. What was once unfamiliar joy, peace, self-worth, becomes your new familiar. Your body begins to crave those elevated states. You begin to think differently, speak differently, show up differently. You stop seeking validation and start radiating certainty. You stop chasing success and start attracting alignment. This is how emotion becomes your tool, not your master. It becomes the compass that leads you out of survival and into creation. You're no longer bound to the emotional residue of your past. You're not repeating the same loop of feeling small, feeling lost, feeling less than. Instead, you're becoming emotionally rehearsed in your vision, emotionally bonded to your purpose, emotionally tuned to a frequency that matches the future you've already seen in your mind. We are not just physical beings living in a material world. We are energetic beings immersed in an invisible field of intelligence, what science refers to as the quantum field. This field is not bound by time or space. It holds infinite possibilities, countless potential versions of your future self waiting to be activated. The version of you who is confident, healed, successful, deeply connected. That version already exists as a possibility. But here's the truth: you don't step into that future by chance. You step into it through deliberate alignment. And the tools of alignment are twofold: intention and emotion. Your intention is your clear mental vision. It's the focused thought that signals the direction you want to move in. It's precise, specific, conscious. It's not just thinking vaguely about success. It's envisioning the version of you who wakes up with purpose, who lives from peace, who shows up with unwavering self-worth. This thought becomes an energetic instruction, like a blueprint sent out into the quantum field. But thought alone isn't enough, because thought is the electrical signal. Emotion is the magnetic charge. It's emotion that gives your intention life. Most people live in a state of inner conflict. They intend one thing, but they feel another. They think abundance, but feel scarcity. They visualize love, but feel unworthy. And the field doesn't respond to what they say they want. It responds to what they consistently broadcast. The field reads coherence. When your thoughts and emotions align, when your inner world becomes a unified signal, you become a magnet. That's when you move from trying to force outcomes to naturally attracting them. Think of it this way: the quantum field is like a mirror constantly reflecting your dominant state of being back to you. If your inner world is disorganized, scattered with fear and resistance, the mirror reflects more chaos, more delay, more limitation. But when your inner world is ordered, when your intention is clear and your emotion elevated, the field reflects possibility, flow, and synchronicity. This is why clarity of intention is essential, but only when infused with the power of heartfelt emotion. You don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you are emotionally aligned with. If you want to shift your reality, you must start feeling the way your future self feels before it arrives. That means generating the emotions of the future in the present moment. If you want to attract a loving relationship, you must feel love within yourself now. If you want to step into abundance, you must feel gratitude and freedom before the evidence appears. This is the paradox of creation. You must feel as if it's already done, even when there's no visible proof. Your heart is the gateway to this process. It's more than just an organ. It emits the largest electromagnetic field of any part of the body. When you activate elevated emotions like compassion, joy, and appreciation, you create heart brain coherence. This synchronization amplifies your signal into the quantum field. The body relaxes. The mind becomes focused. You're no longer in survival mode, reacting to the world. You're in creation mode, broadcasting a new future. This is not about fantasy or wishful thinking. This is neurochemistry and energetic resonance. Your nervous system can't tell the difference between an experience that's real and one that's vividly imagined with strong emotion. So when you mentally rehearse your future while feeling the emotions of that reality, your brain and body begin to believe it's already happening. You begin to biologically become that future version of yourself. New circuits are wired in your brain. New chemistry is produced in your body. And the more you practice this internal rehearsal, the more natural it becomes. But consistency is key. You can't tap into this field once and expect your life to transform. You must live from this state every day, not out of pressure, but out of alignment. You must remind your body daily of what it feels like to be free, abundant, inspired. You must embody the emotion of your future until it becomes more familiar than the emotions of your past. Then the quantum field begins to reorganize everything around you to match your new signature. People, opportunities, ideas, and coincidences begin to show up, not because you chased them, but because you became the version of yourself who naturally attracts them. Creation requires presence. It requires you to step out of the familiar emotions that tether you to the past and into the unfamiliar sensations of the future. That's why it feels uncomfortable at first. Your body will want to return to the known. But when you persist, when you continue to align your clear intention with elevated emotion, you begin to collapse new possibilities into reality. You start to see feedback from the universe, a message, a person, an opening that validates the shift within you. And the more you acknowledge those signs, the stronger your belief grows. You begin to embody a truth that was once only a concept, that you are not a victim of your circumstances. You are the architect of your life. You are the signal. You are the frequency. You are the cause, not the effect. From the moment you were born, you were pure potential, limitless, curious, open to life. You didn't carry the burden of fear or judgment. You didn't worry about failure, rejection, or the opinions of others. You didn't question your worthiness or suppress your desires. You simply existed as presence, fully connected to the moment, fully aligned with possibility. But over time, something changed. You began to internalize the world around you. Words spoken by parents, teachers, friends, subtle looks, loud reactions, and societal expectations began shaping your perception of who you are. Slowly, you started to forget your essence and began constructing a self-image based on how others responded to you. This image wasn't your truth. It was a reflection of your conditioning. You learned what was acceptable and what wasn't. You learned when to stay small, when to stay silent, when to abandon your needs to avoid rejection. And with every repetition, that programming became more deeply embedded in your nervous system. You learned to trade authenticity for safety. You became a version of yourself that was designed not to thrive, but to survive. It wasn't because you were weak. It was because the world taught you that being your full, unapologetic self was dangerous. As the years went by, the armor you built around your heart became heavier. You carried the weight of invisible expectations. You tried to fit into boxes that were never made for you. And in doing so, you began to lose sight of the power that had always lived within you. Power was replaced with performance. Instead of asking, "What do I desire?" you began asking, "What will make them accept me?" You were taught to look outside for approval, for permission, for direction. But the more you searched outward, the more disconnected you felt from your inner knowing. That disconnection created the illusion of powerlessness. You were never powerless. You were simply functioning under a program that kept you in a loop of unworthiness, doubt, and fear. That program was never your fault, but it became your responsibility to change. And the first step in reclaiming that power is remembering that you are not your thoughts. You are not your emotional patterns. You are not the stories you inherited or the labels placed on you. You are consciousness, vast, intelligent, creative consciousness, having a temporary human experience. You are the one observing the patterns, which means you have the authority to rewrite them. The greatest illusion in this world is the belief that your power comes from something outside of you. Whether it's a title, a relationship, a degree, a bank account, or a certain image of success, none of those things define your worth. True power is internal. It's the ability to choose your response regardless of circumstances. It's the ability to feel peace in chaos, love in rejection, certainty in uncertainty. And that level of inner mastery begins the moment you stop identifying with the old self and start creating from a new one. Your mind may protest. It may bring up every past failure, every moment of shame or regret. But even that resistance is a sign of growth. It means you're waking up. The program fights hardest when it's about to lose control. You don't have to eliminate fear, doubt, or insecurity. You just have to stop believing they speak the truth about you. When you observe those emotions without attachment, you begin to separate who you truly are from who you were trained to be. Reprogramming begins with repetition. You don't become powerful by affirming strength once. You embody power by practicing it daily. You begin speaking differently, thinking differently, feeling differently. And over time, those new states of being become your new familiar. You start acting from alignment rather than fear. You stop needing validation to feel worthy. You stop chasing love and start radiating it, because the version of you that already embodies power isn't outside of you, it's already within, waiting, watching, ready to emerge. There's no special talent required to access your power, no permission slip you need to receive. It's already encoded in your being. What's required is willingness, the willingness to see yourself differently, to stop repeating the narratives of your past, and to take radical ownership of your life from this moment forward. Ownership doesn't mean blaming yourself for what you've been through. It means recognizing that no matter what happened, you have the ability to choose what happens next. And that choice, that awareness, that shift in perception is the spark that reignites your inner flame. The moment you begin showing up as if you are already whole, already free, already worthy, the world reflects that back to you. The people, opportunities, and experiences that match that vibration begin to reveal themselves. Not because you forced them, but because you aligned with them. You became the version of yourself that was no longer waiting for life to deliver power, but one who remembered that power was always an internal state. You stopped asking, "What do I need to become enough?" and started declaring, "I am enough, and I build my life from that truth." This is the journey of remembering. It's the unraveling of old beliefs, the release of false identities, and the return to the self you were before the world told you who to be. It's not about becoming someone new. It's about shedding everything that isn't you. Each layer you release brings you closer to the core of your power, the part of you that is infinite, unshakable, and already complete. You were never meant to live a life of limitation, fear, or quiet resignation. You were never meant to feel trapped by your past or defined by your wounds. The truth is, you've always had the power, but somewhere along the way you were taught to forget. Conditioned by the past, programmed by fear, shaped by repetition, your brilliance was buried beneath layers of survival. But now you see it clearly. You are not your habits, not your history, not your hurt. You are the awareness behind the story, the observer of the pattern, the creator of the new path. Every thought you choose to entertain, every emotion you learn to feel on purpose, every intention you hold with clarity becomes part of the blueprint for your future. You don't need to wait for life to give you permission to rise. You don't need anyone else to validate your worth. You only need to choose. Choose to become conscious of the unconscious. Choose to feel elevated emotions before the world gives you a reason to. Choose to match the vibration of your future before you see it with your eyes. This is your power. to think greater than how you feel, to feel greater than what you see, to act in alignment with who you're becoming rather than who you've been. The quantum field doesn't reward effort alone. It responds to who you are being in every moment. So be the version of you who already knows how powerful she is. Think like her. Walk like her. Feel like her. The world will adjust. The universe will respond. And life will begin to reflect back the truth you've always carried. You are more powerful than you think.